Okay, so let's just jump right into the first question. When did you actually start caring for seals?
I've been at it now for 30 years. Originally it was an accident. I was an animal keeper in Dublin Zoo, and I used to mind the sea lions, and people thought as a result when they found an orphan seal that I'd know what to do with it. So they brought it into me, and that was when I learned I didn't know what to do with it, because people make all the mistakes with seals originally, you know, like they give them milk and they're lactose intolerant. They put them in front of a fire like you would say a sick lamb or a pup, you know, and they find they can't heat exchange and they overheat. They put them in the bath and they've no blubber and maybe they become hypothermic, you know, and there's a whole load of things that can go wrong for a seal. So what we did was we learnt about them from a family in England called the Gileses, and they lived across on the other side of England, and they used to rescue seals before the distemper outbreak, and still do it to this day. The man's over 70 years old, and they gave us on one single sheet the key to minding young seal pups. So we learned from there, got our fingers bitten a few times, and slowly got it right, and a few seals started surviving.
Also sind wir like Sean Connery.
Ja.
Müsstest du nochmal ins Auto gehen?
In 10 minutes to go. Phrase friends.
Pain of being repetitive. If I can just keep you to keep to this line, you know, and you will get the best advantage.
The other one the same, yeah. Really? Yeah, the same, yeah. One.
Now you can have to boil at their own time. Go on.
What is it that you enjoyed so much about taking care of seals that really just kept you going at it?
Yeah, it's most things in my life were an accident, you know. So I came across seals by accident, so I had to learn about them as a result. But what became very, very pleasant for me was actually the opportunity to take a living creature from the wild that got in trouble, that maybe just needed a second chance. You know, he might have been sick, hypothermic, lost his mother, orphaned, propeller injuries, parasites, all sorts of things. And welfare agencies tend to mind domestic animals and farm animals, and conservation bodies tend to say, let nature take care of itself. And so when people come across a wildlife casualty, they're generally stuck, they don't know what to do, and that's where we came in. And so it was a great pleasure to be able to learn about it, to learn from the seals themselves, and to give seals, young seals, a second chance. Sometimes we lose some, but by and large we have a great success record of 80%. And the other great thing about the job was as people came to join us, that we were able to actually show them how to do it. And they went away with another life skill, and lots of them are around the world now working with orangutans and bears and wolves and all sorts of other creatures. And now we need broadcasting champions.
There you go. Okay, I think if we pull you back.
Everyone take maybe a step back as well, because the water coming in and out of the point is still coming in. This wall is
Could you tell me a bit about these rescue missions that you go on?
Well, a rescue mission there's no such thing as a typical one for a start, because the calls can come in any time, day or night, and inevitably they almost always come in at night. And so the one thing that's predictable every year, when I see a full moon, right, with a rising tide and a wind behind it during the seal breeding season, particularly the grey seal breeding season, which is say October to the end of the year, and I know that week I'm going to have seal casualties and seal orphans, because the big storm surges take them off the breeding beaches and wash them up where people are out walking, or later on if they've been weaned, the big storm surges make fishing so difficult that they're just not able to learn and catch fish, and so they come in. So a typical night, I suppose, if there is such a thing, is 3 or 4 people start just before dark. You know, they're home from work, they've been out for their walk, walking the dog, found a little seal on the beach, and they ring. And of course it's night and everyone else is off work. So that's why we had to build up our own volunteer network. So we try to get a volunteer out to it. Sometimes it's in a difficult position. There's a big seal maybe entangled in nets. So we need the Coast Guard and people with diving equipment and ribs and cutting equipment and that to help us get that seal out. In other cases it's in such inaccessible places, and we're not seamen, we're seal handlers. You know, so we need seamen and sailors and people that are capable on the sea to actually take us out to get the seal back. So we've had help from the RNLI, the lifeboats, from the Coast Guard, from the search and rescue teams, and so you know, it might be then a 4-mile trek down a lonely beach to find a seal. I remember one came up on the railway tracks at Wicklow, and he stopped the Dublin-Wicklow train, you know, and he was sick, and he held it up for a few hours, but he was 4 miles from anywhere to get him in.
Wow.
And he was a 1/4 ton weight, and we couldn't shift him. But that was an unusual.
Oh, yeah.
So there's no really typical
Yeah.
rescue. Others, I give you another example, just very funny ones, was the little common seals that breed earlier in the year. And people are down in the summer in these nice quiet bays and estuaries where the common seal mothers come in to have their pups. And then the jet skis and powerboats hit the estuaries at the same time, the bank holiday. June bank holiday, we always get seal calls. And they get separated by accident. People don't even know what happens. And then during the week, people on the beach are going into the water. I remember one German couple, actually, your German school might enjoy this one, and they were actually they were camping on a beach down in Connemara, and a little seal was outside the tent one morning when they came out, and they thought this was lovely, and they went into the water and for their swim, and the seal went into the water too, and he's playing around with them, and they come out and he follows them back, and this went on for a couple of days, and then it suddenly dawned on him, this little animal's getting no food, and that's all he was looking for. He was following them around and he was trying to nurse, right, and he'd no food. So then they copped on and they thought, oh, we need help. So the local guards in Connemara got in touch with us, and we were able to take it from there. So that was a nice rescue, you know, a nice easy one. You know, the seal came in.
They're slow drifts, so they don't go very deep, okay?
You're saying that the seals were getting stranded due to high tides or it being mating season, but do they sometimes get stranded due to human actions?
Yes, and actually you're very correct in bringing that up. The predictable ones are the ones, they're orphans or casualties of nature. So, you know, there's ways of dealing with them. But yeah, there are also the ones that are caused by human impacts. And these would be things like propeller injuries. And you'll always recognise a propeller injury. It leaves a kind of scimitar shaped, like a new moon slash across the back of the animal and in parallels, you know. And they can be very serious and go right to the spine. In actual fact, big propellers have even cut big full-grown seals in two, you know. And these are boats working around the oil rigs. They have special propellers, you know. And so, yeah, you get them. You also get net entanglement. You might also get animals, you know, feeding on harbour bottom, that are young pups that are starving, so they're picking up a bit of dirt. Occasionally you get oil and a number of other issues, you know. And then of course the illegal issues, like sometimes, and they're only wildcat actions, I think. I don't think they're representative of fishermen as a whole, but occasionally people go out and shoot them and we get in the injuries.
Okay, so this is the last question, and it is, how can normal people help out the Irish Seal Sanctuary, or just like the living conditions of seals in Ireland?
Well, I think in whatever way they think they can themselves, and that's the fundamental question we had to ask ourselves when we started. People that found the seal on the beach didn't know what to do. I, as a humble zookeeper in Dublin Zoo, didn't know what to do. I'd never reared a seal before. Sea lions were quite different, and we never had to rear the pups anyway. So what we did was we learned ABC, how to do it, and we learned how to protect ourselves, how to protect the seal. So the first thing the public can do, and the most important thing they can do, is when they find a seal on a beach, is just create a safe space. Don't try to handle it. They're inoffensive animals, but they have a full set of teeth, and if they're handled, they will defend themselves. So keep dogs and children away. it's probably not going to die on the spot. So then get in touch with the seal sanctuary, who'll get you in touch with the local vet, who has access to the internet, and the veterinary faculty in UCD have provided a wonderful instruction page for vets on what to do with young seal pups. And then from there we'll rehydrate it. That saves 80% of them. So people that can help from alerting us, from marking the spot, if they feel up to it, under guidance they can help box and transport the animal. If they want to rear the animal themselves, we'll send a volunteer down to them, help them build a little run in their garden and spend a night or two on their sofa and do 4 hourly feeds with them till they have the hang of it. And they can come all the way, or they can do the things that lots of organisations need, because everybody doesn't have the time to say give up the day job or give up minding the children or whatever to mind a seal.
Right, yeah.
So they might like to help in other ways by just visiting, promoting, supporting, fundraising, doing education work, going into schools, doing exactly what you're doing. We need broadcasting champions, we need musical champions, people like Brian May, he's a great champion of Badgers in Britain. We need Sharon Shannon or someone like her as a champion of the seals in Ireland.
So thank you very much. That was the
My
last
pleasure.
question. I really
Thanks very much
appreciate
for having
your
us.
time.